What's up, everyone? Little announcement before we get into today's video. All episodes from now on, videos, will be on Spotify. So if you don't fancy watching the videos, you will be able to listen to them in podcast form on Spotify going on. So just check the link out in the description below and you'll be sorted. So thank you, enjoy the episode, drop a like and a comment, and speak to you all soon.
You're right, Gangrene UK. We're back for episode 65. I'm joined by James, Fraser, and Kane from the admin team. What's up, guys?
Hello.
We all good? How are you doing, James?
All good, man. All good.
Yeah. You, Fraser?
Yeah, all good. Still trying to recover for this cold I've had for about 5 weeks now.
You'll never get over it. You live on an island.
Yeah.
How are you doing, Kane?
Good, all good, all good.
Yeah. Job's still going good?
Yeah, just tired.
Right, so we haven't been on for a few weeks. We've all had a bit of a break. We're all refreshed, and we're going to do a bit of an end of season review. We're not going to go into too much detail about games because, let's face it, we lost them. We don't want to talk about it. But probably the last week, there's been a lot going on. MLF has gone. How are we all feeling about that, James? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I think it was the right decision. The offense was putrid those last 6 games, some really bad performances. So I think we need to shake up, and it's better than getting rid of Salah. So I think it's the way forward, personally.
How do you feel about it, Kane?
Yeah, he had a couple of good coach games, but you don't know if it's down to players or him, really. So, not good enough.
Yeah. Are you sitting on the same side of that fence, Fraser?
Yeah, someone had to go for it, didn't they? And I don't think it was Salah's time to go. And obviously, somebody's going to pay the cost. And I think the last 3-4 weeks was a nail in the coffin for him, in all honesty.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. I mean, I think last time we were on, I named 4 coaches that I thought were on the hot seat. 2 of them have gone. One of them, I think he could still end up going, if I'm being honest. And then the other one, nobody actually knows what he does, so we can't really get rid of him because he's almost invaluable because he does something, but nobody knows what it is. So yeah, the OC side, obviously, there's a lot of rumors about who's coming. Who we heard? Like, look, we won't go into whether we want them, but what names have we heard?
I think there's been quite a few. It seems to be that they're going down potentially, apart from a couple of guys, first time route again, which I'm not overly excited about unless they can bring in somebody experienced behind them. I'm not sure there's anybody experienced available that would want to come in a position that's not an OC job. The only one I'd say out of the kind of least experienced ones that I'd be more intrigued about would be Brian Johnson from the Eagles. I'm sure his second name's Johnson.
Yeah.
He's the only one that probably is a first-time OC that would actually, I think he's a first-time OC anyway, that would really interest me. But yeah, there's been a few names thrown out there, but it's been quite quiet in it. It's been pretty hush-hush on who they've actually spoke to and who they haven't.
Yeah, I think the big reason why it's been a bit quiet is because everybody kind of wants this weekend out the way. Because I think Monday there could be another 4 or 5 coaches on the block from teams that lose this weekend. Yeah. But I'm kind of like looking at it going, nobody's jumped out off the board at me yet, and I've been like, I need them. The biggest interest I'm looking at is Roman from the Ravens, just because I like the fact that he can do this kind of hybrid. And yeah, the fans hate him there, allegedly.
Yeah.
But let's face it, as fans, we hate everybody when you're not performing. When they're expecting deep playoff runs and don't get them, they're going to be upset.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he did quite a good job with Tyler Huntley, though, to be fair. Like,
Oh, yeah, I mean, Tyler Huntley, and they haven't got the best wide receivers in the game.
No, awful.
Oh, injured.
And their O-line wasn't great this year either.
Mm.
Yeah.
And the Ravens have always had a strong O-line, which is what got them to be able to run. So, like, Roman, I like the idea, but I don't know what he would want. I don't want to bring him in because, like, for the reason, oh, yeah, we'll get Lamar.
Yeah.
Like, the OC should come in and it'll be like, well, we tell them the system that we run, and they go, right, this is how I would do my bit in that. Because ultimately, Salah, we all say, oh, yeah, the OC chooses. No, Salah chooses the system. He chooses his OC. He might adjust his system around them, but I genuinely think we have to get somebody that is very different to MLF.
Yeah.
Anybody you want in, Kane?
I like the two mentioned, to be fair. I've seen something about Brian Hartline, I think his name is, the Ohio wide receiver or OC or something like that. That coach. But
I mean, I wouldn't be against looking at a college player, college coach, especially some of the college teams this year that have had blinders.
Yeah.
Especially if it's the wide receiver coach. Like, if you look at their wide receivers every year.
Yeah, I mean, it is almost like wide receiver you in it.
I think there's a few things you need to look at with this, and a lot of people are going to have a lot of negative to say about anybody that's available. But at the end of the day, somebody's available for a reason, whether that reason's because of what they've done in the previous team, whether they're liked or not liked. Greg Roman's situation as an example, or whether they were a really good OC, but then a failed head coach, which there is a few of them. So you could take Nathaniel Hackett as an example, terrible head coach, but has been a decent offensive coordinator, and he proved that with Blake Bortles and others. And even Aaron Rodgers had some of his best times with him. And say, look at Greg Roman. The Greg Roman one's a tricky one because everybody's just jumping on it straight away saying it would affect the Lamar decision. You got to take the Lamar situation out of it because it's a pipe dream at the end of the day. If we get him, then amazing. If we don't, we can't expect to get someone in just in the hope of getting him. And we don't actually even know if Lamar and Greg Roman actually do get on or whether they don't get on. A lot of it's hearsay. The thing I like about Greg Roman is a lot of people say he's a run man first, but that's what we were supposed to be, a run first team. You know, that's what we're supposed to, our strong point supposed to be is a running game. He has been made to look like that's all he can do simply for the fact, as Ant said, Ravens have had no wide receivers, nobody for Lamar to do, and they were playing to Lamar's strengths, which is running the ball. When he does throw the ball, Lamar, he did have success. So I think you've got to look at Greg Roman as a high possibility of someone who could come in. Going to the college side, there's only one man that I'd want to see come in from the college, and that would be Todd Monken. You know, the Jets loved him when they hired Gaze, which was they went the wrong way. Monken has got the experience. I think that's what we need. We need someone to experience, whether it's Hackett, Roman, Monken. I think they're the guys you've got to look at. You've got to look at them. Salah's not in a position now, and Douglas is not in a position to go the first time route again and put it all on the line with a new OC who's not really got any experience. And you've got to think about what quarterback would be interested in coming to the Jets, potentially knowing that they're dealing with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that situation's it's being blown up to be a bit more than what it is, because ultimately every team you go into has got an issue. There isn't a team out there that doesn't have an issue. And it's not like we're in a position where we can't, we're not in a hole. We're not the Texans. We've got the players in place to do well. I mean, when we were playing well, we were playing well. And nothing about our situation at the minute is dire. It's just all we're hearing constantly is the QBs are crap. We're losing all these players. We've got no cap. Well, there's been many a team won a Super Bowl with no freaking cap. At the minute, I feel like we're in almost the same situation as we were last year. We're going into the draft. We need some key pieces, some pieces that we maybe didn't know we needed. But this hire does have big implications, because ultimately now we know that at the end of next year, Joe Douglas wants an extension.
Yeah.
Now, without playoffs, does he get one? Maybe. Does Salah get an extension after next year if he doesn't make the playoffs? Possibly not. But if he brings in a new OC, a new O-line coach, a new QB coach, and a new QB, and then we narrowly miss out, or we get wild card and get knocked out, he's just bought himself another 2 year.
Yeah, or at least another season anyway.
Yeah. So
there's a lot of narratives to look at it. I think Joe Douglas, if he can build a roster this season with the situation that we could be in to at least compete again like we did for a high portion of this year, I think Joe Douglas is a no-brainer, because what he's done, it's not about, people say, oh, but his strength's building an O-line. Listen, the O-line's been decimated every year, just about. And then I know he's a bad quarterback play, it makes that O-line look worse. But I think Joe Douglas, what he's done with the dead cap situation, how he's turned the roster around, how he's made that defense into a top 5 defense, I think Joe Douglas will still, regardless next year, get another year or two at least.
I think you almost have to. I think you have to, because of the way that he's built the roster.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, if we get rid of him at the end of next year, that cap the year after, we got now.
He knows his plan. He knows what his cap situation is for next year. He knows what he can do next year to make it for the following year. A GM's plan won't be right now and what's going on now. They have to be aware of what the situation will be in 2-3 years down the line. And he's aware of that. So bringing in somebody when you're going to be into that situation and getting rid of somebody who's done so well could be an issue. Don't get me wrong, Joe Douglas has not been perfect. Some of the contracts have been awful, but look at the contracts of the players that they're saying is awful. So Carl Lawson, before his injury, decent player, projecting the right way. Whitehead, absolute stud at Bucks. Tomlinson, a Pro Bowler every single year, just about. So the contracts he has gave, even Uzama, stud at the Bengals, the players he's gave the bigger contracts to have just not looked good for many reasons, and it's not on him.
Yeah, it's the same thing as everything. Any given Sunday, something can go wrong. Yeah. Unfortunately for us, every bloody Sunday something's gone wrong. Even the games that we won, something went wrong. So does anybody want to say out who they want on OC? I mean, at the minute, I don't have a clue. So I'm going to say Roman is probably my top pick, but I'm not looking into it. I mean, there's still a lot of football people to get sacked yet, and I'm interested.
If I had to pick out the people that they've actually said that they're interested in and out, it'd be, well, I know they've not said Roman officially, but I'd say the 4 would be the 4 I mentioned. It'd be Todd Monken, Roman, Hackett, and Brian Johnson for me. They'd be the 4 that I'd be looking at.
Yeah. Kane, what about you?
I want Brian Johnson, really. But obviously if Todd Monken comes available, then that's a different story.
James, do you want to go out on bold?
Yeah, no, I'll probably go Roman, to be honest. I like Monken as well. So, yeah, either of them two would be sweet. I mean,
either way, I'm not going to be upset, because it's probably going to be better than what we've had.
Yeah.
Now, Benton, in the O-line run game coordinator, he was the one that I thought might get a bye on my list, because the O-line was decimated by injury. But the players that we brought in, like Cedric and Remmers, they're not bad players.
No.
But he's inability to get them to fit his system.
Yeah.
They were awful when they came in.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't believe that's on them, because at the end of the day, they're in the NFL, and they've played at numerous teams. They've been starters. Like, you are not bad if you make a roster and you get to start. You're not bad. You probably
Reynolds is a Super Bowl winner, is he not?
Like, you're talking that they are the top 1% of people that play that sport.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he made them look like people I'd watch down the park on a Sunday.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of it's on him, and a lot of it's on the pressure throughout the season that the media, the team, the fans were putting on the quarterback situation and the issues. And don't get me wrong, like, when the O-line's changing constantly, when the quarterbacks changed 4, 5, 6 times in 10 weeks, when you've got quarterbacks missing the way that they were. And this is not just aimed at Zach. This is aimed at Mike White. Wasn't 100% either when he was playing. He was good, but let's be honest, he missed some as well. I think all that added up to make that O-line worse than it can be.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it comes down to, I'm pretty sure we talked about it on our chats, the Kurt Warner video where he explained some of the players and what the QBs were seeing. And MLF changed basic plays that kids learn in school to trick defenses.
Yeah.
But in a game situation, and it's muscle memory, it's like, if you take a corner at football, phrase, you know exactly how you're going to kick that ball to get it where you want.
Mm.
But then if somebody goes, oh, well, we're going to move the goal 5 yards closer to you, and you're in that adrenaline, that moment, and you overkick it, like, the excuse is, in that moment, you went back to muscle memory of you kicked that ball the same way. Mm-hmm. Same with the quarterbacks. If you drop back and you're doing a basic route that is 10 forward, 5 in on a break, but then all of a sudden you go to throw it and the wide receivers only ran 7 and cut in, you're going to put that ball over the head.
Yeah.
Mike White did it in one of the games, and that's what made it click with me. I was like, now I know what he means. Because when I watched it back, I was like counting. It was like, oh yeah, he's dropped early. He wasn't where the QB thought he was going to be. And I think a lot of our play was down to that, trying to be too clever.
Yeah. Just
play football. Because when we were running the ball and we were running it down the throat, we did okay. And then take the easy yards.
Yeah, it's gonna be part of it, and as I say, the quarterback play is going to be a major part of it as well. Because don't get me wrong, some of the changes could have worked if the ball was actually thrown. But I think Mike White's inexperience as well, even though he's a veteran, his inexperience on the field, combined with Zach Wilson's inability to read the defense and change the plays at the line, was a big factor as well. And hearing all the stuff we're hearing about Mike LaFleur, it wouldn't surprise me if he was literally saying to them, right, don't change anything, whatever play call I'm playing, that's it. So the quarterbacks had no trust to be able to change the play and look at the defense and say, right, actually, they're going to blitz me here, so I'm going to do a screen or I'm going to do whatever to counter it from the run play that they were doing. I just think it's a mixture of everything.
Yeah.
A mixture of everything.
The more and more that comes out, you spread your blame out a little bit.
Yeah, and how much is true, I don't know. But
yeah,
we'll
never know. But then, obviously, that was a good segue into like the next subject, because we can't do a video, it seems, without talking about a freaking QB. Are we trading? Are we waiting free agency? Are we drafting? Kane, what you saying?
Draft.
Draft? Which one do you want to draft?
Fucking anyone at this rate. I don't know. I think Joe might actually trade up for someone.
Oh.
Who would you want? You trade it up?
I'd want Stroud, but we ain't going to get there. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, to get Stroud, you're talking, we are 2,800 points on the draft system away from him.
The thing is, you're having to go to 1 to get him. No matter what quarterback you want, you're having to go to 1. It's not like you can go to 2 or 3 and get the second one. You have to go to 1.
Depends, I guess, how they feel about their jobs, and if they're gonna get another year after this year, they might panic and might want to do it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'll do mine in a minute. James, what you saying?
Yeah, give me
Are we going free agency or what?
Nah, Derek Carr, man. If we can do it, let's do it.
And but are we trading for him, or are we gonna wait till he's cut?
So ideal world, when he gets cut, but I don't know if we can risk that. If there's a legitimate chance to get him for a 3 and a 4, like I think we were saying last night, maybe, and a restructured deal, I think
3 and a 4, or 3 or a 4.
3 or a 4.
Right. I was gonna say,
yeah.
I ain't giving him 2.
No, not 2. But if we can do that, restructure the deal, I like Derek Carr. Like one of my favorite QBs to watch, so I would quite like that. To be fair.
Good.
And Fraser, what you saying?
Yeah, I'm kind of similar to James, to be honest. There's a few quarterbacks I'd like, and honestly, I don't know what one we're going to get because there's so many different scenarios and situations around even them and our OC and stuff. But to me, I'd say the easy option and the safe option right now would be to trade for Derek Carr. I don't know if you, as James said, if you can wait until he gets cut, but it depends, because if you can speak to him and his agent and see what his situation is, it could work either way, whether waiting until he's cut and you know you're going to get him. But personally, I'd just rather throw them the 4th or 5th rounder or whatever pick and say, listen, yeah, we'll give you that, we'll restructure him. Even if you say to them, tell you what, we'll give you a 2nd round pick, but you restructure his contract now so that the contract suits us better, which is, it's done quite a lot. I think the pipe dreams Lamar. He's the one that I'd want, but I don't think it's happening. Rodgers is another one who potentially, but it's a pipe dream. So yeah, I think when you look at it, one of them 3, I think if you end up with Jimmy G, you've massively waited on someone that you think is going to be available. It's not, and that could really backfire on you. However, going back to the Greg Roman situation, and I know I'm just saying you're a run coach, if there's a way Jets could trade pick 13 and do well in free agency and go down to maybe pick 20, then I don't like him, but you've got to think, if you re-sign Mike White and you think give him the off-season, I could see Richardson maybe being a dark horse there.
I mean, that's an interesting one, because
and sitting for a year. I personally don't really rate him.
Yeah, I'm the same. But I can see what you're saying. Like that, there's a lot of mechanics to get him there.
You'd have to have an exceptional free agency.
Yeah.
To fill the holes that you need to warrant you to be able to take him at that position.
Yeah. Because I'm kind of the same. I personally, I was all on Zach staying next year, but I think there'll be a trade package. I think he could end up in Vegas.
It wouldn't shock me.
Right. We bring Carr, but then I also could see us taking Hendon Hooker late.
I thought you were going to say something else there.
No, I like. I'm not massively over enthused by any of the free agency quarterbacks. Like none of them on the list I look at and go, oh yeah, I want them. There's a couple that we've had. I mean, when you look at the free agency list, it kind of shows you how mad the position is at the minute. Sam Darnold got paid nearly $6 million more than Tom Brady this season.
Shout out, Sam.
Right? And you wonder why Lamar's unhappy. Sam Darnold got paid $30 million this year.
Jesus. He's living.
But Lamar got paid, right? His current yearly average is 2.3 million. His overall is 8 million with his signing bonus. Sam's average is 7.5 and his overall is 30 guaranteed. Insane money. Now, Carr, I think, will click in, and I think he'll do okay. He'll be back to decent Carr because he's got some very dynamic wide receivers and he's got some running backs he can lean on. free agents that we haven't mentioned, I mean, there's always a chance that Baker gets available. I don't know if he will. Obviously, Mike White, I think he gets re-signed, but
I think so.
it won't be on anything insane. I mean, you're probably looking at 3.5 with 500,000 guaranteed, something like that.
This is where I think his injury helped us more than anything. Because I think if the Jets know that that injury was the reason that he had a bad end to the season when he'd come back, that could be the sign out, right? If we can get him back cheap now because of that, and nobody's going to be fighting for him. And I think having likes of Carr, Brady, Mayfield, Daniel Jones, all these people potentially available makes White's stock so low that it should be easy for us to get him.
Yeah, 100%. Should be, but it's that QB position of insanity.
I think he likes the Jets. I think White absolutely loves the franchise. You could see it on one Jets drive. You know, we've gave him a chance.
Yeah, and he's got the kids and everything like that. And
I think he'd want to stick around if he can. And I think he knows his level's probably a backup. Why not just stick with a team that
a backup that can challenge?
Exactly. You can.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at Chad Henne. I mean, that guy's milking a living. He's probably never ever going to have to start unless Mahomes is really bad.
Chase Daniels, I think he's still getting paid big money.
Yeah,
his contracts were ridiculous.
But so Chase Daniel, yeah, he was on a low one this year, but I mean he was still 2 million with 1.1 guaranteed.
Yeah, but I think he went through like 5 years where he was getting like ridiculous money, and it was just like, what is going on with this guy?
Was it the Bears who gave him a massive contract?
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah.
But the Bears did that for a while, didn't they? They just started throwing money at people, hoping it was going to help.
Yeah.
But yeah, his history is, it's bad.
I think there's many options here you can go at quarterback. It's going to be interesting to see what we do, but I think honestly the safe option is, if we can afford it, is Derek Carr. You've got a vet there that you know is probably going to be able to handle. I know there's a lot of stuff came out saying that he couldn't handle Vegas and all that. I think that's a load of bollocks. Derek, he's experienced enough that he can handle the tough situations in the tough city. And even look at what he's been through with that team. You know, he's never had a team that's ranked any in defense any worse than the top 5 in the league. Never had any better than that. Yeah. He's had people like Ruggs who have ended up in jail for stuff. He's had to move a whole city and a whole franchise to a new city. You know, he's had some of the worst coaching staff who Daniel should have been fired this year, in all honesty. He said the owners aren't great. You know, he's been through a lot. But AJ Brown's situation, you know, there's been a lot. I think.
When you think about it, you couldn't write the stuff that's happened in Vegas in the last 5 years.
He could handle New York easily. And what are Jets missing right now? They're just missing somebody that can read the defense and do the simple thing. And we've seen that, and that's why White was so successful for a while, because he was doing the easy thing that we need to do. Zach was trying to prove himself, overcomplicate things. And I felt for him because he's going to do that. But Derek Carr, when we're behind, you'd have a feeling he's the most in league history, I think the most fourth quarter comebacks of any quarterback in league history. You know he can come back into a game.
There is a big thing
this year. I never once thought we were getting back into a game after the first half of the season anyway.
So my big fear on it is, right, Derek Carr situation, if they were to trade or cut Derek Carr, they do not have a QB on roster.
I'd trade Zach.
But they're also, Raiders are sitting in 7th. And I've got 3, maybe 4 teams that could take a QB above them.
I think the Raiders I don't think the trading them would be an issue because they're cutting them regardless. They know they're. I think they're going Tom Brady and they'll select a later round quarterback, and then they'll probably bring somebody in like your Gardner Minshew or your Flacco. Or
they could re-sign Jarrett Stidham. I mean, they seem to like him.
Yeah, you know they're going to do something like that. Our quarterback situation, I wouldn't even worry about it. If we get somebody like Derek Carr, I still think Mike White will be re-signed. You can still draft somebody mid-rounds because the roster is so good anyway out with a few holes because of free agency that will need to target in the first few rounds. I don't think we're going to be in a situation where 4th, 5th, 6th round we're going to be like, right, we need to go this area. I think you could go potential quarterback there to sit as well. And I still think Streveler signed to a future contract.
Yeah, he's signed.
I mean, Carr is also the most durable quarterback. He's missed 2 games in how many years has he been in the league? 10? 9?
Is it 8? 8 this going into his 9th.
He's missed out with of being benched. So this is not the benching at the end of the season. He's missed 2 games injured his whole career.
You know what that means, though, don't you?
You can't look at it like that.
He's just said it now.
I know, but then people look at the Lamar situation. Oh, he's always injured. All right, so now we're going to give you somebody that's missed 2 games in 9 years.
Yeah, my big issue, my issue is with Lamar, is he hasn't proven anything in a big game. He's a good player, but we're talking about getting somebody who's played big games and can handle.
Yeah.
Any time it seems to get tough in Baltimore, Lamar goes and whines. And he does. And don't get me wrong, some of the stuff he's moaning about, he's fully justified to moan about. And fair play on him. He's doing good for him.
Mm-hmm.
But then when he goes out on the field and doesn't, I mean, the divisional game against the Titans, he was awful. I've never seen a quarterback play that bad, and I've seen Zach play.
I'd prefer Carr.
So here's one for you as well, right? So everybody goes on about Lamar. I know Lamar's, you'd be signing for the fans. You'd be taking a massive risk on what he could be because you know what he's got. But the interesting thing about Lamar, everybody's saying about, Lamar's injury prone, blah, blah, blah. Lamar's 2 injuries have both come since he was standing in the pocket. Not while he's been out running. He literally been hit twice in the pocket that caused his injuries that have made him be out. He's never been injured as a running quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not against Lamar. It's just he's not as high.
I don't think it's happening.
I mean, neither do I personally. But but I mean, I can't. Nobody can say that I'm not for a mobile quarterback. Last year, I wanted Malik Willis. I thought he's got potential. But I did say I also think he needs to sit for 2 years. And then Hendon Hooker is a mobile quarterback. God knows what's happening with his leg. I mean, the kid got mangled. He might not even be where he was, but
the only good thing about Hendon Hooker is his age. He coming in, he's a bit mature. He'd deal with whatever situation he was in. If he come in, he was a backup for 2 years before he had his chance, he'd deal with it. He's not one of these young 21-year-olds who thinks, I'm the next superstar of this team, I need to be playing. So that could be, similar situation to White. He's come into the league and he's not been like that when he got drafted by Dallas. He was just like, right, I know what I am. I get my chance.
I mean, there's also a big chance that, like, Rattler, Bennett, Tua's little brother, these guys could all go undrafted.
Well, I don't think Rattler's not coming in, is he?
As you said, he's not again.
Yeah, he's not. He's staying. To be fair, I think he's overrated anyway.
I mean, I've got him as, like, before he undeclared, as the 209th.
Yeah,
and I'm like, you ain't getting picked at that, mate.
No. And next year's going to be even worse for him.
I think he'll play like slot or something in the NFL.
Because there's 2 or 3 guys next year that will just absolutely destroy any other quarterback that's in that draft.
Yeah, I mean,
Caleb's going to be the one, Caleb's going to be the guy that they're going to look at as the next big superstar.
Yeah, unless something major happens, like what happened to Tua.
Yeah,
but, yeah, you're right. It's it's set. I mean, the interesting one is obviously did Bo Nix declare, or did he say he was going back and doing a grad?
I think he's staying. I'm not sure.
Yeah, because I know there was a couple, but Stetson Bennett,
he's a shout for a. We talked about this the other day, didn't we? He's a shout for again. He's like 24 or 25, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a redshirt senior, so he stayed 5 years.
I think they were saying, actually, I seen a meme out there somewhere saying when he was in their bowl, he was giving it the big one because he was 65 points up or whatever. And there was a meme going about, and it was like, I don't know why you're getting excited. You're playing against 19-year-olds, so he's like 40. Like showing his face, like
But it's that big thing, right? Like, have we ever seen a QB throw 6 touchdowns in the NCAA championship game, and then the pro scouts have him average ranked at 256, best player in the draft?
It's tough.
Like how? I mean, even like on the list I've got here, and I've averaged it out, I have him as the 12th best quarterback in this draft.
See, I think he'll push up a bit.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean,
I still think he's going to be like a 3rd rounder at minimum.
I mean, I've got 4 above him that probably aren't even going into the draft. But this is a really early list that I've got. So
somebody that's only got 1 quarterback and are unsure in their backup position, I'll take him a bit earlier than what people expect. Just knowing what he can do. Don't get me wrong. If we took him, there's connections there already, isn't there? So
yeah, well, that's it, isn't it? Like, but you can't look away from that, especially not with this Joe Burrow and Chase, Trevor Lawrence and Etienne. We're noticing now, if you can get a running back or a wide receiver with your quarterback to come through at the same time, it's golden. It's dynamite.
Yeah.
Like, you're just growing on it.
We just need somebody. I mean, Wilson putting up over 1,000 yards with what he had is madness, really, when you think of it, innit?
Yeah.
1,100 or whatever with Flacco, White, and the worst quarterback ranked in the whole of the league thrown to you, and he put up that.
Yeah.
That's why we just need an accurate quarterback.
Do we think Wilson will put up the same numbers next year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't think he'll put up the most.
All right, so he's
That's my outsider.
If we drop or trade Corey Davis, Garrett Wilson has a worse season than what Elijah Moore had this year, in my opinion.
You reckon?
Because Wilson always looks better when there is an equal to threat on the field. Anytime he was put out on his own, I think over the season he made 4 plays that were on him. He went out and made that. That he's not Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson makes 4 plays like that a game. Garrett Wilson, even in college, looked better when he had somebody like Chris Olave opposite him.
Mm-hmm.
Which that's ideal. That's perfect. I mean, Jarvis Landry made a long career out of being that guy. So for me, if we're dropping Davis, we need to take a wide receiver or bring in a wide receiver to complement Garrett Wilson to keep him on that trajectory. Because I don't think Elijah Moore is the guy at the minute.
I think you're right. And the run game's going to massively hinder him as well, because you just need to look at the start of the season. He was doing okay, but he wasn't putting the numbers up when Breece Hall was there because of the type of plays we were doing. I still think he'll put up between 800 and 1,200. I don't think he's going to be far off 1,000 still next year, if he isn't over 1,000 anyway. I just don't know. I think we'll find
mine's a big bold statement, but I
can see it.
I mean, I've had this view now since probably the week before we went out, because I think I said it to you, James, when we were down. Like, I mean, it's no secret. I loved Chris Olave last year. I loved him the year before. I mean, he's been in one of my fantasy teams for 3 years. I drafted him when he was still a junior because, like, I like the way he plays. But I have noticed that Wilson is better when complemented. So my worry is that we lose Corey Davis for cap hit and savings, which I'm all for saving. But if we do not replace him, the expectation on Wilson might hinder him next year. But hopefully Breece Hall coming back. I mean, we're in a predicament because we've got 5 running backs and we probably need 3. But you don't want to cut them. We want to trade them. But is there any value?
I think Carter could be the one that could be. Carter reminds me of, and I said the exact same after the first year about this guy. I said it, and a lot of people are like, no, he'll do fine. I looked at Carter this year, and he reminds me of Pirine.
In what way?
No.
I don't know. It's just there's something about him that's like he's come in and he was the focal point of the run game, so he kind of had to do it. And Pirine done it the first year. Had some good plays, good runs. He was the focal point, and then we kind of this year it was. Carter started the season off, and I remember having the conversations. I remember Otis saying, "Oh no, I'm worried about Hall. I'm worried about Hall," and I was like, "No, he's going to be a beast. He's going to be a beast." And it was Carter getting all the touches. Same way Garrett Wilson wasn't getting. Jeff Smith was getting the touches before Garrett Wilson the first few games of the season as well. Mm-hmm. And then as soon as Hall came in, took off, and I think that's probably affected Carter as well.
It's a fair point. It's just
I don't know what it is. I just don't see it. I've seen more from Knight and even at points Johnson than what I did from Carter, and that's worrying. And that's exactly what happened to Pirine, Coleman, Johnson. But we're getting more from them.
Yeah, I think next year we have to roll with Hall, Carter, and Knight.
I think that's probably what it will be. I'm not saying that we should get rid of
Carter. But I see what you're saying, because actually Carter could probably have trade value as well.
He's probably not got much trade value. You look at the running.
He's only going into his third year, so he's still got 2 cheap years.
Yeah, but I don't think when you look at the draft classes nowadays, I don't think you could warrant saying, well, what did he go in the 4th round or 3rd round? I don't think a team would be willing to give up a 3rd or 4th round pick for him. I honestly don't.
I mean, I'm not even looking at that. I mean, I'd take a 6th or a 7th. Like,
I think in that case, you're best keeping them, aren't you?
But it is. But then if it's down to cap, it's not loads. I'm just trying to find out how much it is now. Hang on. Which Michael Carter is it? Michael Carter, 24-year-old, or the other Michael Carter? Oh, no, it's Michael Carter. Yeah, so actually, no, we're only saving 1.1 mil.
It's not worth it.
It's not worth it. But obviously, if there was some worth in that, there is some players that there is a bit of value, and you're like, oh yeah,
I think the Corey Davis situation. I think you could actually get a trade partner for Corey Davis as long as he was willing to restructure with that team, which I think he probably would, because he knows if he gets cut anyway. At least this would give him a chance to not even go free agency and then get settled before it. I think Corey Davis, you should look at trade first. And I'd honestly, if you were going the Raiders way and you were trying to create space and money, you could go to Raiders and say, we'll give you a 4th round pick and Corey Davis for Carr. There's 17 million spared. Carr's on 30 million this year. Restructure him, get him down closer to that 20 mark for this year at least.
Yeah.
You've got rid of a need, saved, costing £3 million. You've got a veteran quarterback in there.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's like we were saying to you before we started, like the cap calculator has been so much fun this afternoon. I've freed up 13 million and re-signed nearly everybody. We don't need anyone. I've got a full roster and I've still got 6 draftees coming in.
The only thing I like about Corey is his blocking ability.
Yeah.
And Corey's blocking ability is top notch.
We're not going to get that from a rookie, I don't think.
No, you're not, but you could. You can counter it with, if we are going to roll with Conklin and Uzama next year again, your 2 tight end sets that can come in, and there's ways you can do it.
Oh yeah, well the only way we can get rid of Uzama and Conklin, the only way we can get rid of them is trade.
Yeah,
because their hits are insane.
It's a tough one with them because I had high hopes for Uzama at the start of the season. I thought Uzama would be the red zone guy, and Conklin would be your middle of the field guy who would target on the slant and stuff. And totally flipped that Uzama ended up just being a blocker and Conklin was.
Do you know why that was, Fraser? Do you know why that was? Because we didn't get to the red zone, mate.
Yeah, probably.
You can't have a red zone tight end when you don't go to the red zone.
The thing is, we're paying a lot of money to both them.
Yeah, I mean, if we were to try and cut Uzama this season, the dead money is 11.6 million.
It's not worth it.
1.3 million cost.
Yeah, it's not what I think. Conklin's something similar.
Conklin's 7.2 million and 1.4 saving.
Yeah,
he's saving out.
I wouldn't get rid of any of the two of them simply for the fact that Conklin's a really good player, and with an accurate quarterback, he's going to catch a lot. Uzama was underused the way that he should have been used by Mike LaFleur.
Yeah.
But Uzama is, and I feel the same as Uzama as what I do as Mosley. They say that they don't contribute a lot and they're on high cap hits and that, but their leadership, both of them, that you can tell by the videos that are put out and the way they are, is on a different level. You have to keep guys like that around. You cannot just keep going into every season with young players because you want to be younger but cheaper. You need veteran presences. And sadly, they cost, regardless of what they're doing on the field.
Yeah. I think there's a fair point there, but Uzama's targets are hilariously low. I think it's like 30 targets or something.
Yeah, he should be getting targeted a lot more.
It's a couple of games, isn't it? Really?
But that's where a better OC and a better vet will do that. Whereas Mike LaFleur was either run up the middle or try and hit a 30-yarder down the line, wasn't working. Whereas a vet quarterback, where an OC that's going to be all-rounded, is going to hit your tight ends more. We're going to bring them more into the game. He basically used them both as blockers most of the time.
100%.
Yeah, I'm just looking, right? I was trying to find out who the passing game coordinator is for the Bengals. Because that might be a shout for somebody to look. But then when I've actually just went into it, it's Brian Callahan. So he's not going to go from being an OC at the Bengals to being an OC at the Jets.
Brian Callahan's Browns, is he not?
No, Bengals.
Yeah, the Bengals. He was at the Browns, was he?
But yeah, he's the OC at...
He's just signed a contract extension.
But yeah, I was just... You know, when we were saying there's still teams playing that might have people, and I was like, which ones have got like really good passing offense? And then I was like, Uzama looked amazing in that system. So, but yeah, I don't think there's anybody else in there that...
Yeah, so I don't know if I put this on the chat earlier or if you just missed it, but Jets requested to speak to Brian Callahan today.
Did they?
And he rejected it because he's just signed a new contract to stay in the position he's in at the Bengals. He doesn't want to leave them. So he rejected the chance. But he would have been, if he had accepted that interview, he would have been in the top. He would have been right up there as one of the guys that you'd have wanted.
Yeah. I mean, that's like a perfect kind of situation, isn't it? But I mean, yeah, there's loads going on, and obviously we're going to have a lot more of these chats in the off season. So anything we want to do before we go, guys? Anybody got anything to bring up?
Nah.
Who are we drafting first? Let's see, position.
Let's
go around the board.
As it stands right now, what the situation would be without free agency, without quarterback, the situation with what we're losing in free agency and who we've got signed, who would you draft at that spot right now?
You know who I'm drafting. Well, no, in this exact situation, right, where we are now, at this very moment today, 1 second, I'm just getting it up. I am taking Brian Brees, senior Clemson defensive line.
I don't know if it falls that far.
I've got him at 15.
You've only really got him and Carter, though, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, Carr afterwards, if he wasn't, I mean, a one tech would work, but it's Baylor. Like they're the three. But yeah, if Brees is there for me, because Carter's not going to be there. And I think there's a lot of OTs and QBs going ahead of us.
Yeah.
And I think the wide receiver will go. So, yeah, for me, Brian Brees, defensive line, 3-tech from Clemson.
What are you thinking, young Kane?
Jackson and Igba to be available.
Who?
Jackson and Igba. Ohio State wide receiver, matching back up with Garrett. You know,
I mean, that's exactly what, that would work. I'm not against that.
What are you thinking, Fraser?
As it stands right now, I think it would be an OT. I can't give you a name. Who I would like out of them all would be Paris Johnson. But Paris Johnson, Skoronski, Jones, I'd be happy with any of them. But my outsider, as a situation that starts as who I'd love, would be Trent Simpson.
I like it. Yeah, you've cooked me. I'd probably say Paris Johnson as well, to be fair.
There is always a chance that he'd be there, but it's a bloody big chance.
Yeah.
Paris Johnson.
He's my number 20 overall in the draft.
I think this is very, very similar to the year with Becton, Wirfs, Willis, and what's his name, the Giants? Thomas. This is very similar to that year. You've got 4 guys there who can warrant being taken, and one of them's going to, and coincidentally, I think we had pick 11 that time, so we're only a couple of picks away. I think one of them is going to come to us, and if we're in the situation we're in, that's what they want. You're getting one of them, and I don't think you can go wrong with any of them.
See, my thing is the way it's set up, right? Because I can see the Patriots doing a trade with Houston to get ahead of us, and they'll end up with the player that we wanted.
Nah, Patriots don't take players that are first round potential in the first round.
They like winding us up. But no, obviously it's always great to have a chat, guys. And yeah, we will get back to you guys. Give us a like, a subscribe, a follow, and don't forget to join us on Facebook. We'll see you all soon.